Oh yeah, I love my pervert tattoo. A lot of people read it different. They don't read it as pervert. They read it as perfect, which is sort of embarrassing.
8. Squeeze up. 7. Not much of also great. Let's go.
Being in touch with your sexuality is what a pervert is to me.
For TJ?
I think that the fact that they actually put a full nude photo of me is awesome because it just is in your face. Because with pants on, I just look like a dude.
Actually, how did you start into this sort of porn business?
It just came like a light bulb, boom, dude, nobody is making transsexual male porn. I really believe I was chosen to do it.
And God spoke to you through a burning something or other.
Totally insane. Hey, I'm Buck Angel.
He looks good open, or looks you, because you usually have some skin showing.
Yeah, I do.
It's the porn awards.
I saw my picture. I almost started to cry, and I was screaming for myself. I feel like a star.
You are a star.
I think with my sisters, we always wanted to achieve this approval with our dad. He was sort of like God of the family. I didn't see my future. I don't know, it was very dismal for me.
We didn't know. We didn't know what to do.
I wrote Buck out of my life. Man.
And there was a bottle of pills, and then I just took them all. And most 16-year-old girls are hanging out with other girls and whatever they do. I don't even know what 16-year-old girls do because I wasn't doing it.
He can be a target of hate and of anti-sex, anti-porn, anti-trans propaganda.
I know this is a really touchy issue.
But he continues to just keep going. It's like there's no stopping him.
I like my vagina.
Wait, you like your vagina?
I love my vagina. Yes. Do you love your vagina?
No. That's all right.
It hasn't been easy for people to take me serious as someone who has something important to say because of being a porn star, but it's okay.
I'm gonna break through, I will. I promise you I'll break through.
Hi, everybody. Well, that's a little introduction to who we're going to have on the show today. Okay, I know a lot of you are familiar with him, but a lot of you aren't. And due to the nature of my audience, I'm expecting the people who, let's say, aren't familiar with this type of lifestyle to just be respectful. Okay? I mean, we're adults, so we can take it, but we'd much rather not take it. You know what I mean? It's just, where you're at, and you know what we're going to talk about. So, and we know how we know how some of you feel. Okay. That's all right. And we might even address it too. So that's fine. You guys, this is why I want to bring stuff like this to my audience, because I have such a diverse audience with so many different ideas and stuff, which is actually a lot of times more progressive than the LGBTQ community. And we'll get into that. Okay. But anyway, you guys, welcome to the show, Buck Angel. Hi, Buck.
Hi, beautiful friend. Oh my God, you look amazing.
Thank you so much. How have you been?
Oh, I have an awesome life. Not dealing with nonsense on the internet you can put that away.
Well, it seems like it's never ending. And then when it's coming from one direction, all of a sudden it hits you from the other direction. Your own
It's
community.
well, now we use that lightly
Right.
now.
Yeah.
Community. It's not real. It's sad. I'll be honest. I laugh, but it does make me sad because I've been part of this community for a very long time, and I would say, gosh, I'm 61 now, so I would say at least 20, maybe 30 something years of my life, I have been part of the LGBT community, and it's just so bizarre.
Which is really the majority of your life now, isn't it? I mean, if you look
Yeah.
back, I mean, you're
Yeah.
61, you've spent more than half of your life part of this community.
That's right.
So, and I have too, and I mean, I was going to say I'm underneath you, but I'm not. I'm younger than you. I'm younger than you. Not a whole. I'll be 54 this year.
Awesome.
So I know there's things that we share probably in our generation.
Yep.
There's some overlap and stuff.
For sure.
Jennifer Joyce says Buck rules. You already have a fan. There you
Sweet.
go.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Isn't that sweet?
Well, of course, if they're friends of yours, then they're going to be okay with me. Seriously.
It's funny. I have a real mixed bag of friends here, and some that just absolutely, adore everything I do and say. And then I have some where we're kind of like friendly frenemies.
That's okay.
And the funny thing is, people like us who came up and got beaten up along the way.
Yeah.
You know what? We're a little calloused and we can take it. Like, is that all you got? Is that all
That's
you got?
right. I mean, some of the stuff people throw at me, I'm like, first off, it's the internet, dumbass. And like literally sending me I'm like, here's the address and to Starbucks, which is literally around the corner from my house. And I'll meet you there in like 5 minutes. How about that? Crickets. That's why I know I'll give the address to my house. Come over here. It's so absurd. I come from the AIDS movement, okay? Movement, the genocide, the actual real genocide. And I lost almost all my friends to AIDS. And I will not play with these people when they start saying trans genocide and they start saying all of this other nonsense. You're killing trans kids. I will not play with them. And don't you dare say stuff like that. I actually did suffer through a space that people actually did die and killed themselves. And, not to say that trans people on some level don't suffer, but, I transitioned 30 years ago, my friend. And
it's a whole different ball game, isn't it?
Are you kidding me? Like,
wait,
wow.
Fuck, you didn't get a party? Come on,
I didn't get anything.
You didn't get a congratulations and a pat on the back. Come on.
No, I got hate.
All the kids are getting that. Come on.
It's just absurd and wrong. And, as a elder of this community, I have to speak up, my friend. I will not tolerate the way we're treating these people and acting like it's okay to transition a 10-year-old. Like that's completely normal. We never had trans kids. Again, remember, I transitioned 30 years ago. Never saw trans kids. Never existed. No, never.
I never knew it either. And it's funny because I remember, and I don't know if you remember people adults being transgender adults when you were younger. I remember
totally.
Yeah. And it was kind of like it was so unique that
that's right.
And this I grew up a lot in Palm Springs, and I mean I've always lived in Southern California. So we live in the mecca of that stuff.
That's right.
And even there I didn't see a whole lot of it. And you knew it was a rare thing and it was a serious thing.
That's right.
And now it's sort of they're showing it on Blue's Clues and other cartoons, and it's like, well, what are you trying to do? I mean, I have my own ideas.
Yeah.
When you have someone that's a patient for a life, I mean, that's pretty valuable.
Me and you see eye to eye on what's happening. Me and you know what's going on. It's medicalization. I made this choice at 30 years old after I lived a full life as a female, a dyke, all of that stuff. And I thank the universe for giving me that journey because I'm solid 31 years transition, never look back, solid because I lived a life and I made the choice on my own. My parents, you saw my parents there in that little intro you did. My dad, he had the hardest time with me being a gay woman. Then when I transitioned, they were just like, what? But today I have the most amazing, relationship because as an adult, could you imagine if that was put on my parents to make a choice to make me a boy?
I know that was, I mean, it was heart-wrenching as an adult. Imagine
That's
as a
right.
child. And it's funny because I often, and I'm one of very few voices that I've heard express this, but
Mhm.
I don't necessarily like I came out I gay when I was 38. And
Mhm.
but they already knew, everybody already knew.
Sure.
I was the last one to admit it, but it's like I don't think it's as simple as people want to make it out. Like, I think when the parents give birth, they believe, that you're a girl and they're
That's
raising
right.
a daughter. And
That's right.
and I wish more people would look at it as a loss and trauma for the
That's
parents as
right. Oh
well.
my God, thank you. Oh, you're so beautiful. I say that's what I say all no, my parents lost their daughter. They lost their
Yeah,
daughter. I had to grieve with that. I had to let them grieve. For
yeah.
forever, my dad would call me, Laura, the girl name. And I'm like looking like this. I'm like, Dad, they're gonna think you're completely nuts if you keep saying she and Laura and they're who's Laura? Like what are
Yeah.
you talking about? But it's true. Once my parents, and that's the thing I keep telling these young people, why are you being so mean to your parents? And then this community is telling them your parents don't understand, your parents are mean, your parents will never get it, you should leave your parent. Like the way they're telling these kids to disconnect from their parents is actually sickening and wrong and grooming. It's
It is.
grooming.
It
Yeah.
is, and
Yeah.
it's oh, Marion, thank you so much.
I
Marion just
don't.
sent us a tip. Thank
That's
you so much.
sweet. No,
Oh,
that's so
thank
great.
you,
Right
Marion. But
on.
she's a sweetheart. She really is. We love
Beautiful.
Marion. Yeah, she's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's one of a few people that I have a relationship with offline and stuff. And
Beautiful.
you meet some of those every once in a while.
I actually
People,
meet a
yeah.
lot of people. I made a lot of friends from the internet. Good, normal ass people like you. Like,
And isn't that
looking at you,
weird?
looking
Isn't
at
that
you,
weird?
nobody would think that. But I'm like, Mom, look at my new friend.
And you're in the SoCal area, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah, I'm in LA. Yeah, my parents
Yeah.
actually live in Palm Springs. I go there all the time. I take care of them now.
Oh, well, it's funny because I was watching you. I have like we have a virtual green room and I could see
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
And I was watching you as your father was speaking, and I
yeah.
was wondering if it still
It
if
does.
it does it gets to you a little
Yeah, it,
bit.
it makes me teary eyed because, I have such an amazing relationship with my parents. Like I said, they're in their 80s now and, they're getting older. So I make trips there probably every week or something just to help them do stuff. And, it's sort of like my payback for being a
Yeah.
bad kid because I was horrible. Oh my God. I was like the worst kid you could ever
Oh,
have.
and they're
But
they're
now,
still there for you.
oh my
Yeah.
God, my
And
parents
you're
are
there for
incredible.
them.
No, and they said to me the other day, because it's all tranny. All you see is tranny, tranny, tranny on the television.
Yeah.
So then they're like, this is weird. I'm like, I always tell them everything that's going on. And they're like, what? My parents said to me, you're a pioneer. You did this before anyone. And I thought, that's just so cool that my parents actually
They
see and
recognize that.
acknowledge.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
like
totally.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's success in itself.
Totally. It's I really, and I'm going to say that out there to everybody who's watching or who will watch this. Even if you have a bad relationship with your parents, it's very, very important that you also understand where your parents are coming from. In the LGBT community, parents don't always understand it. You got to give them time. And I highly suggest you give them the time and try to reconnect with them, unless they're serial killers. But other than
Right.
that, like parents are just struggling with they wanted a normal kid. You know what I mean?
Isn't it funny, Buck? As we get older, we start realizing that our parents didn't know anything, and they
That's
don't.
right.
They're growing up just like we
That's
are,
right. That's
and
right.
they're not. And I get it. As a child, you look up to your parents, and of course, you think, "Oh, they're the next thing to God." They're
That's
really
right.
not. They're not. They're not. And they're winging it. They're winging it
Oh,
all the way. So
totally.
like I was the firstborn, so I know I got a lot more than my younger sister.
That's right. That's
But
right.
I was wondering how so you see them every weekend
Yeah.
around every weekend. You
I
take
pretty
yeah.
much try to go out, because I also have my own family. I have a kid. So that being said, I
Oh,
try to get out there. Yeah, I have a kid. I have an 11-year-old son.
oh how is it
Yeah.
biological?
No, 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 no.
No.
So I have a partner who had him before I met her,
Oh
and then so
wow.
when I met her, it's so funny. I met her and like we were just hanging out, and then she pops the kid in the picture. I'm like, what? I'm leaving.
No,
I'm not
I don't
ready.
want a built-in family. I'm not ready for that. Yeah.
I'm like, what? I never wanted kids, but the kid literally came and sat on my lap and hugged me. And I was like,
over.
it was over.
Yeah.
It was over. I just, my heart swelled. I was like, I'm a daddy for reals now.
You're like, this is cuter than the cutest puppy ever.
Oh my God.
I'm through.
It's heaven. And like, but the cool thing is that his biological dad is still in the picture, and me and his dad are like we're like super besties. So we have like a
That's good.
three-way. Oh, it's awesome, my friend. Like, it's all about the kid, and
Right.
like, just
That's
awesome.
good. You could have
Yeah.
a good, a loving, peaceful relationship to
Oh my
model.
God. It's so important that people see that divorce happens between the adults. Leave the kid out of it and stop
Yeah.
bringing kids into all your nonsense. It's, that's why, honestly, that's why I can speak out a lot. First off, about trans kids, because I am trans. Secondly, I was a kid. And third, I have a kid and I coach soccer and I'm around a ton of little kids. And so I see what little kids do and how they act. They
Right.
don't know who they are. They literally
No.
change every week. They come back and there's somebody else. I'm like,
Right. I mean,
yeah.
did everybody forget what it was to be a child? That's what I'm wondering. Like,
They
wait,
did.
Did you have it all figured out by the time you were even 16? No.
Are you kidding? It took to the age of 30.
I think I was worse at 16 than I was at 6.
Totally.
I mean, really. I mean,
Yeah.
you throw early drug use in there.
That's right.
And all this other stuff and peer
That's right.
pressure. You're
Yep.
more than ever, you're being molded by your peers. And it's like,
That's right.
I mean, yeah, it's even got to be more careful at times,
Well, now
as a
it's
teenager.
worse because we grew
Yeah.
up without the internet. So now the kids
Yeah.
are being also swayed by millions of other trans kids, right? Or non-binary or whatever the new thing is. They're all being sort of sucked into it through the internet. I can see it. I'm an old fart. I see things that these kids will never see. My vantage point is here. Their vantage point is here. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm watching you all just totally cycle through this whole thing. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Okay, Buck. Well, okay, so I've designed some questions to ask you. Nothing too difficult or anything. And I
Okay.
figured, we get to know each other. The audience gets to know more about you.
Yep.
And I mean, I'll tell you, when I was in high school, I heard of Buck Angel. I heard of you when I was in high school. And I I guess, I mean, I knew I was at some point, I don't want to break my character, but it's like I everybody knows, but I really, I mean, I think nothing. I mean, I was a gay man.
Yeah.
I mean, I was gay, and and I was doing my thing. Oh, doing research on you. There's some kind of connection with Jeff Stryker. That was my guy.
Yeah. That's everyone's guy. Are you kidding me?
If you're from the 80s.
Totally. Oh, he still is considered one of the biggest gay porn stars ever.
Is he really?
Yeah, he went cuckoo though. It's sad. He totally went cuckoo.
Oh,
He's lost. Yeah.
I used to work in a nightclub. I managed a nightclub near just outside LA city limits. And
Okay.
I met a lot of porn people.
Yeah.
And I met Jenna Jameson.
Oh, I love her.
And
Yeah.
she's from the day, and
That's right.
And the newer ones, because it's young gay clubs. So I met
Yeah.
Cade Maddox.
Oh yeah,
who-
totally. Yeah.
Kate, I worked with him a lot.
Excellent.
And other, I guess I want to call them pin-up cute boys from West
Totally.
Hollywood.
Totally.
I worked with a lot of them and stuff. And the funny thing is, they're all great people. A lot of them are very great people. They
Yeah.
really are, and
Yeah.
very humble people as well.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I
Totally.
know for a lot of people, the industry, and they don't want to be, but even though they're secretly at home logging in on their phones. and
Believe me, that's my whole customer base. But that being said, that's right. That's why I sort of separate. Like, I don't act in porn anymore. Now I make products. I make adult toys. But that being said, I have no shame around it. I'll talk about it up and down, all sideways.
Why would you?
Well, yeah, because some people try to, say, well, you're in porn and you did this to all the kids. I'm like, wow, really? What happened to adult? I make adult adult entertainment. I never focus toward, but people just, it's like the devil, really. You can't get people to even understand adult entertainment in any other way than it's evil. And it's, now, that being said, there is a bad part of the adult industry, but there's a bad part of every industry. Of course.
There's a bad part of fast food. I got morbidly obese. Reached 440 pounds, and I eventually had a heart attack and triple bypass surgery. I mean, I don't blame fast food, but it certainly clogged my arteries.
I had no idea. Wow, you lost a lot of weight.
Oh yeah, no, I'm down to 275 now.
Congratulations.
I'm 6'4", so I hold it like a football player. But
no, that's incredible. I'm going to give you props because it's not easy to lose that weight. Number one, number two. Now they are all about what is they calling it? Like fat positive.
Oh, body shaming. See, that's where I'm pissed off like you are, because it's like you don't tell young kids that being fat can be healthy. Now, that's not saying if you're fat that means you're dying, but you know what? You're on the road. You're on. You are on. You put your car in drive and you're on the road.
It's disgusting.
And Fatsville is down the street, and Heart Attack is the next town. So come on.
What is wrong with us? We have gone off the deep end. Everything we're doing is complete opposite of health and wellness for people. We're like, literally, we made a U-turn and we're going way back the other way. Eat McDonald's, being heavy, your health. Like, I actually see them saying it's healthy to be obese. I'm like, what world do you live in? What are you talking about?
Not only is it, they don't even talk about the psychological effects of obesity.
There you go.
Because I know the difference between when I was over 400 pounds, the way someone treated me, as opposed to losing weight. And I'm not saying that I deserve the bad treatment, but I'm just, you can't change the world. You can just change each other or change yourself. And, I don't expect the world to all, not, what, Buck? Okay, boycott somebody. Ben Carr says, in honesty, your journey may have been very different than today's trans kids. You must admit the possibility. Criticizing the younger generation and their journey does not promote we have to stop fighting.
Nope. Sorry, I disagree with you, my friend. And that's cool. I'm glad somebody is willing to have that conversation. But that being said, nope, that's not true. I was a kid. Gender dysphoria is gender dysphoria. I don't care if you're from 1800s or you're from 2023. Gender dysphoria is gender dysphoria. But here's the thing with gender dysphoria and kids. Many of them grow out of it. And that's a fact. That is an actual fact. If you don't mess with them, you don't do anything, they'll eventually go through puberty and come out the other side. So I'm going to disagree with you, my friend. That is actually not true. I'm an actual trans person. Is that an actual trans person? Who just said that?
Let's see if they... answer. Mike says, have you ever heard of trans financial? It means identifying as a rich person, even though you're broke as F.
Okay, I'm doing that.
Okay, wait. Dylan says, not Dylan Mulvaney, but Dylan says, Buck, haven't seen you since being on You Are Here.
Right. Wow.
You're awesome, and I'm glad you speak true.
Oh, sweet. Thank you, friend. Thank you.
Now, Buck, before I get into the questions, I want to ask you something. Have you ever said this before sex?
Buck, and I'm here to fuck.
Maybe when I was like a million years ago and high on drugs. I don't know what I said. But now I'm sober 30 years, so I know exactly what's going on. Hilarious. You're great.
Okay, Buck. Okay, so this is, I got it's about 5 questions. It's called This or That.
Okay.
Okay. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Sweet or savory?
Ooh. That's hard because I like them both together, but I'll say sweet.
Okay. Carpet or hardwood floors?
Hardwood floors. Gross. Carpets are gross.
Especially in a bathroom, huh? Buck, my mother, she recently bought a mobile home outside of Palm Springs.
Awesome.
And her the house is like complete 80s. But it's perfect. It was an
Brilliant.
elderly lady, but the bathrooms have carpet in it. And I'm like, Mom, that's a piss sponge.
It's
That's all that
disgusting.
is. So I'm gonna get her to rip those out. You know?
Piss sponge.
Okay, ocean or mountains?
Ocean.
I am too.
Ocean.
I love the ocean. I left California for 1 year and I
Uh,
went to Kansas, and
oh,
I felt so out of place. I felt I'm in the middle of the country. I'm used to sitting on the edge of it,
totally.
Um,
Hilarious.
okay, constipation or diarrhea?
Oh God, that's an actual good one, but I'd rather have diarrhea. Totally. Totally. No, because constipation, you can get hemorrhoids and like all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah, and you're just
Oh, yeah.
uncomfortable all day.
That pushing, not good.
Buck, what was your first job?
Oh God, that is a really great question. What was
Yeah,
my-
I wanted to ask you
I
things
remember.
that people typically aren't going to ask you.
Right. So my first job was a shoe salesman or
No
woman.
way.
Yeah,
No
totally.
way.
Because I was a runner. I was a very high-ranking female athlete. And so I
Uh-huh.
worked at Foot Locker and I was 16 and I was obsessed with shoes. And like I also like ladies' feet, but nobody knew that. So I was getting my fetish on at 16. I don't know if that's appropriate to say.
No, honey, we can say anything. And look at Buck. In fact, you brought it up, so here we go.
Right on. Ah, awesome. That's totally me.
Look
How
at
crazy.
there's a young buck running.
That's right. Totally. Wow.
Now, we brought up something. We brought up your birth name.
Yep.
And you stated a name that's different than what I see
Yes.
on Wikipedia.
Yes, that's right.
And okay.
So I'll tell you why. So when I
Okay.
first got into my work and I got so much hate. Oh wow, people came because I
Oh.
was like the first trans man to do any of that stuff, right? I was the man with the thing. So that being said, it was just like people from all sides. So I got scared and I changed my real name to Susan. And so
Okay.
everything, and so I pretty much tried to sort of make it so nobody would be able to find me. And now it's 30. That career started 21 years ago. So now I'm super cool and I'm writing a book. So now I'm sort of like using my real name and talking about my
Okay.
real space. So my real birth name was Laura Jane.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God, you can't even get more female than that.
Laura Jane.
Laura
my goodness.
Jane.
Was Buck your first choice, or did you have a list of names other
No,
than Buck?
so Jake was really the name that I
Okay.
used growing up, and since I was 4 years old. My mom even said to me the other day, because I'm writing my book, so I'm sort of getting memories from my mom, and then she said, "Oh no, you started like wanting to be Jake at 4." And she was like,
Wow.
"We just saw you were into your dad's underwear." Like at 4, she goes, "You were putting your dad's underwear on." And like so to say to that guy who said, "Well, you don't know," I'm like, no, I know exactly stuff that kids do. I did the same exact things. So did my friends, by the way. But none of those girls did what I did. They all turned out to be either lesbian or be married to men and have kids. Not one of them transitioned. So I do have.
Did it cross your mind that you were a lesbian instead?
Yes, when I was around in high school. I didn't
Yeah.
have any clue about being trans. That didn't, I'm 60, so that was in the 70s. I didn't have it. Trans wasn't even on our lips. It was only for
Yeah.
male to female. But for a guy like me, I was really a les, and I knew it, but I was so freaked out by it. Like, you can't be a les in the 70s, and also an athlete. I was sponsored by Adidas, New Balance, all these.
Oh,
take
wow.
they'll take your sponsorship away if you were a gay woman. You are not allowed to come out. That was totally the rule. The coach would tell
Wow.
you, like, if you're lesbian, keep it to yourself. That's what he would say.
You know what? That gets me thinking. I have an aunt who she's still alive, and she had a world record for drag boat racing, Blow-Fuel Hydro, and she was affiliated with Billie Jean King for some like advertisements and things like that.
Wow.
And my aunt, I mean, I don't know if her or my cousins are watching, but
Yeah.
I grew up always thinking that my aunt was a closeted lesbian.
Possible.
Because she mows the lawn, she's outside all day, she only wears lipstick and that's it. And she's a bigger woman and kind of has a short cut,
Totally.
not femininely fashionable. I don't know how else to put it. And so she's always, not, I don't want to say a rough woman. That's hard. I think that's maybe negative. She was
She's a masculine woman.
there.
She-
That's good. That's a good way
yeah,
of putting
she's
it.
a masculine woman.
So I always thought, because I knew I was gay, I wonder if my aunt's gay, and she's just hiding it, you know.
Well,
But
she could be, but back then,
yeah.
my sister's the same. I have a sister, older sister, who's full on butch, was in the military, was LAPD for like 30 years, moved up to
Wow.
Idaho, got a ranch, has, totally cigar chomping. She's totally straight. You would never in a million years think she was straight.
I
mean,
also have a half sister. Growing up, she was always a lesbian, and
Mhm.
recently in her 60s, like we weren't close because weren't raised together. But isn't people think you're close? Like if you have a sibling who's gay or something like
That's right.
all of a sudden you're supposed to love each other and get
Totally.
along. And it's like, well, no, we're still people, gay doesn't mean we're clones,
Totally.
So she was a drag king
Mhm.
and did her thing. And then one day decides after 20 years to hit me up and said, "Hey, how are you?" I go, "Oh, I'm good." She goes, "I just want you to know I'm trans." I'm like, "Oh, so 20 years go by and now this is
what?
Now I'm trans." And I said,
Wow.
and I said, "So this might sound a little crude, but I said, so does that mean you're going to cut your tits off?" After 20 years, this is the conversation. No, how are you or whatever.
No, how are you? I'm trans.
And I go, so, and she goes, "No, I don't want to do that." I go, "Well, then what do you want to achieve through it?"
Yeah.
Because I thought I'd never heard of someone that old doing it, except maybe Caitlyn Jenner. You know?
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, why would you?" I mean, because she's kind of been she's always been married to women and always was the man of the relationship.
Sure.
If that makes, I use these words because I know a lot of people don't, this is how they think of it.
Yeah.
And so, and she goes, "No, I just want to grow facial hair and lower my voice."
Right.
And I'm like, okay. I mean, I guess everybody has different reasons for it, but
Well, see, that's the difference between that person and me. And that's why I don't claim to be trans. I'm a transsexual who had a sex change, for a lack of a better expression. It's what we used to call it. I didn't change my sex. I'm still a biological female, but transsexual people want to look like men and women, and I want to live my life. So that person is the newer idea of what trans is. It's like you ID as trans. I don't ID as trans. I ID as male and a man. My whole goal was to become a man and to move forward in the world and people see me. So that's the difference that there is between people like myself who have I have a medical condition called gender dysphoria. It's a disorder. It's a real mental disorder.
And it's funny because I don't want to jump on the trans bandwagon, because I know there's a bandwagon. I see it.
Totally.
But I'll tell you, when I was younger, all my friends were female. They were all girls.
Yeah.
And they were always girly girls. And, because I'll be honest, I didn't have a good relationship with my father. I was intimidated by masculinity. I didn't get along with other boys, very few of them, only the good ones, because I didn't really, now I played rough like the boys, but this is my real voice. And I kind of, walked, I studied Vogue and Cosmopolitan while on the toilet, and I learned how to walk.
Right on.
But when a big strapping man is doing that, it's obvious. So I was actually jealous of girls when I thought, God, all the boys like them. They're so pretty. Their dads love them. They, back then, late 70s. Oh, they don't even have to work. A man will support them. Oh, they, so I started thinking, wow, it must be really nice being a girl. and all the clothes. I want to wear dresses and change my hairstyle. You know what I mean? And it's like,
totally.
But I knew at that age, because it wasn't part of our culture, that it wasn't even in the realm of possibility. I do, reflecting back, I knew, I now know, would I have done it? I don't know. Maybe if it was 2023 and I was a kid and I still had that mindset, maybe, but I look back and I'm like, no, I know I'm not trans, because it was all for me about getting the benefits and what my perception.
That's right.
At that age.
That's a great point. That's
Yeah,
exactly right. But that's what I always say. People like you today would be considered trans, which is unfair. I say it all the time. It's unfair that we're pushing young people into this space. If you have a different way of being, all of a sudden you're trans. That's where I'm having a problem with it. Now, there might be trans people, no doubt about it, or young
yeah,
people. I won't call them trans kids because I feel like that's really labeling them. And I think they're dysphoric children. And the dysphoria can either subside or it could go forever and then you can
right.
move on. But I think the problem for me is that we're just immediately labeling any kid who has this desire to, cross dress or whatever. That kid could be gay, or that kid could just
Right.
maybe that kid is going to be like a famous, dancer or something. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. But look, you make the point so clearly. You would have today, they would have thought you as being trans. And to me, it feels on some level sort of homophobic because it feels like we're not giving these kids a chance to find themselves. And it could be their sexuality being confused with gender.
Well, aren't there even some like Asian or Middle Eastern countries that they don't have homosexual boys? They turn them into lady
That's right.
boys and girls. And
Iran is like that. They'll pay for
yeah,
your sex change. The government will actually pay to get you have a sex change so you're not gay. So you're either a man or a woman. And that's what I keep trying to tell people. We're regressing. We have regressed. We are not progressing. If we were progressing, there wouldn't be a thing of trans kids. There would be a thing to say, let kids figure themselves out. And if they want to have long hair and wear a dress, that doesn't make them trans.
here's a message from Chaz Smith. He's a friend of mine that I
Hi,
met on
Chaz.
here, and he's a smart guy. He is.
Cool.
He goes, does it seem like trans men embrace their real age, but trans women seem to be really transitioning into younger women or girls and even choose names that are not age appropriate, like Caitlin for a 70-year-old woman? And when Mary, Bertha, or Gert would seem more appropriate, it seems like trans women have a lot more going on than their gender.
I mean, I gotta agree with that, but there's things going on. That's the problem that I want everybody to understand. If you look, who are the major voices in this trans kind of thing? It's trans women who are actual biological males. Most of them were socialized as men. I was socialized as a woman. That's an actual real thing, socialization. And so now they come to it in a whole different way than the way trans men do. If you notice, trans men aren't really in the conversation. It's all about women's sports, all about what toilet, and it's always about the trans women. It's never about trans
Buck,
men.
I heard that there's actually more trans men than there are trans women, or it's on an uptrend. It's not.
Well, yeah, because now we have non-binary. So non-binary is being lumped in with trans. They changed the name. So like trans mask. So more girls are transitioning than boys, for sure. That's like a 4,000% increase of young girls transitioning. It's 4,000? It's crazy.
Kaylee says, hi, Tranpa, love you.
Oh, hi, beautiful friend. Thank you.
It's funny. You mentioned that they don't really use the term transsexual anymore, just like they don't use the word transvestite anymore.
That's right. And that's a shame.
Where'd it go? Like,
well, they hid it. The trans women are hiding it. The trans women are hiding it because they don't want anything to be seen as sort of a fetish or that trans women are women. No, they're not. Trans women are not women. They're trans women. So I just want to get that straight.
And I always say, I don't, you could call yourself what you want, but if you have to put the word trans in front of it, then that means you're not the other part. Like you have transitioned to a woman.
That's right.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
So why don't you just own that? Like,
because they don't want to own it because they want to actually dominate the female space. And I won't have that. As a biological female who fought to be somebody in the women's space and in women's athletics, which was a total shit show back in the day. How dare trans women act like they don't have any dominance over women? It's disgusting. And that has nothing to do with trans. I'm telling you, if you look at where that's coming from, it's a very male thought process to come into a woman's space and say, move. They're basically like, move. That is such a male attitude. It's not.
I would never do that. And I have always loved and respected women. And
right.
and I just
That's
don't.
Right.
And and it maybe it's misogynistic. Who knows? But I always felt I felt a duty to even protect women. because I do know that I'm physically bigger and
Thank
stronger
you.
than,
Thank
and
you.
I'm also more
Thank you.
threatening, you know, and I'll
That's
just tell
right.
you this, as a big dude, I've never had to fight. So I know it's
Wow.
intimidating. I know it's
See?
intimidating.
That can you
So
imagine if you were just a lady right now, like you are, and then you just
yeah,
said, you know, no, people are going to be like, ah, and then women have notoriously been silenced by men. They're
no.
intimidated. So now we have trans women athletes coming in and saying, "Get out of my way," because they basically are, and calling them turfs and calling them, you know, bigots and Nazis. I'm like, wait a minute.
And
So
they feel
that
very entitled too,
they
don't they?
feel
Yeah.
entitled. I'm like, women have fought forever just to get their own sports stuff and just to get paid the same amount as men. And you want to come and dominate and win and just blow the women out of the water. And then women will never be able to get to that time ever again. They blew the times away. You know what I mean? Like the clock or whatever, if you're racing, like they blew them away. So it's just gross.
Joey, Buck will tell you that
I'm
he
not.
is
I'm a biological female.
he's a biological female. You're
Would you
talking
like
to
to
the
see
wrong
my
trans person.
vagina? I'll show you.
I have a picture of it. I just, you know, I don't want to get demonetized. But
So
you know what?
Joey, that doesn't hurt my feelings, by the way. I'm not one of those trans people. I'm a transsexual who transitioned 30 years ago. I'm very aware of who and what I am. And I guarantee you, if you saw me on the street, my friend, you would never know that I was a biological female. So let's just be real here.
Oh
It doesn't
yeah.
hurt my
Look,
feelings.
take a look at this. I mean, come on. I mean, you know, Joey, I got to tell you, he's probably looks more masculine than you.
Well, that's maybe why Joey's making that comment.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, but you know what? I have another picture to show you, Buck. You know, you remind me of in this picture is Rose McGowan.
Oh, me and Rose are great friends. I love Rose. Yes.
I love her too.
Oh my God, I love her.
God. And that to me, when I saw this, I go, this really reminds me of Rose McGowan.
Oh, thank you. That's so great. It's such a compliment.
You know, but it was fascinating because, like I said, when I got familiar with your name when I was a teenager, it was for like porn and things like that. I believe I don't, but I do remember your name, and you know, because you get. You know, the way I learned about gay stuff or whatever through the Advocate magazine, or
that's right,
or inches.
Inches.
I forgot Honcho.
Honcho. I was in all those magazines.
Well, I probably saw you. And that's probably how I remember you. But then I remember you being your product line. I remember you morphing into that.
Yep.
And you know what? I mean, Buck, I saw this before we came on today.
Okay.
Buck Angel Transsexual. I was invited to an inclusive and diverse panel because somebody felt uncomfortable about my social media posts.
Right.
I was willing to show up to debate, but I guess they have no desire to actually be inclusive or diverse. And Buck, it is things like this that have led me to believe that the LGBTQ community is more homophobic than the heterosexual community.
Right on. Totally agree with you.
Or transphobic as well.
And they're homophobic too. There's some weird stuff going on. How dare you invite me, first off, to a panel and don't know who I am? Everyone knows who I am. Either you like me or you hate me. That's just how people are. I'm very outspoken on the internet. That's my social media. I'll write whatever I want. I live in the United States of America. I'm a free speech advocate, which means you can say whatever you need to say to me and I'll say it back to you. That being said, if you're going to invite me to a panel, don't pretend like you don't know who I am. Okay. And then they wrote back, regrets. We have to formally uninvite you because somebody decided that they were too nervous to have you on the panel and that they told us to look at your social media posts. And I'm like, how old are you people?
Then why didn't they get rid of that guest and get someone with balls?
Thank you, friend. Because they're too scared of me. Because you know me, I'm not scared of anyone. I will debate Trump. I'll debate anybody.
Do it,
I would. I can debate. That's like really a skill that I learned. And because I'm very confident in where I stand and that these people are so unconfident and don't call it a diverse and do not call it a diverse panel. Do not
ever
do that.
Call it that. That's bullshit. I'll just say it right now.
Anyway, I'm going to write about it on my Substack and I'm going to expose who these people are. I sat on it for 2 weeks because I gave them a chance to have a conversation with me. I even wrote them back and I said, I'm sorry you had to do this, but we should have a conversation. They never wrote me back. So I'm like, okay.
They got nothing to say. They don't know what to say.
That's right. That's right. I won't play that game, my friend, because it's not cool and it's not going to help our community in any way. You're not going to shut me up. You're just not going to shut me up. I earn my space and I will
Hey, Buck.
continue to say things.
Buck, what would you cook to impress a first date?
Oh, that's a great question. The first thing that came to my mind was tacos.
That's what my husband's making tacos right now.
I love tacos. But I would make them the white trash way, which is how my mom made them, which is like ground beef and onions and like Lowry's taco seasoning.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then she would fry the tortillas in
Yep.
oil, and then it's super greasy. And she would, in a paper, she would like smash them and then put the meat and cheese and tomato and lettuce. That's the
We
white
grew
trash
up in
way.
the same household. We grew up in the same household.
Totally.
Yeah, it's so funny. And you know what? You want to know what's so funny? My husband's black trash, and he's making the tacos just like it.
I love it. Oh my God, you're so awesome.
Hey, and speaking of food, what would be your last meal if you were on death row?
Oh, a pizza loaded with as much meat as you can put on. As much meat. You can actually leave the red sauce off. I don't care. I want cheese and meat and bread.
You know, while researching you, I came up with, I mean, I thought it was an interesting thing, and you know, maybe nobody even thinks about it, but you were a witness when Lady Gaga's dogs got kidnapped.
Wow, you actually found that because it was literally in front of my house. So now my house is on the tour. It's on an actual tour route, and they come by my house all the time, and I'm like, fuck. They're snapping pictures, and there's Japanese tourists. No, because it's actually gross that they come by our house and they're like, that's where Lady Gaga was shot. You know, it was horrible. That was actually, you know, I laugh now, but it was actually shocking because Hollywood's just gotten out of control, and I live in a nice neighborhood. But that being said, it's so out of control here, the homeless, and it's sad. But anyway, so every night I hear screaming, so I was like, I was tired of it. And then my partner's like, that sounds like a lady. And I'm like, okay. And it wasn't a lady. It was a big gay guy screaming like a lady. But that being said, I went out and I saw him got shot. I saw the bullets shoot him.
Oh
3
my
times.
goodness.
It was horrible. Yeah. He survived.
Joey's back with another
Hi, Joey.
comment. It seems like you appealed to a right-wing audience when the right doesn't even like us. Joey, okay, I can speak. I mean, I've been to these rallies, I've been to these protests, and I've been in drag, and I want to tell you, Joey, I want to tell you that maybe some people have had bad experiences in life. I've had bad experiences in life, but I'll tell you, I've never felt safer than in that environment. And everybody knew who I was. And you know, you could fantasize, believe whatever you want, but I don't believe that me and Buck are human punching bags and love being beat up by people.
That's right.
And you know, and if anything, I'll tell you, we've been beat up more by the left than the right. And I don't advocate for either, to be honest with
Me
you.
neither.
I'm myself, and if I'm in the middle, sometimes I'll fall on one side, sometimes I'll fall on the
right.
other.
That's the right thing to do.
Yeah, we're not, you know, it's funny because it's funny as people, like we've had to come out and actually risk disappointing people in our lives, always having to defend yourself.
That's right.
It's like, you know, you're not going to give me one of two choices.
That's right.
You're just not.
Bam.
You're not doing that.
Bam! You just said it all.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a lot of people like me and you. I'm a registered Democrat. I'm a liberal person. I don't like to talk about my politics because I don't think that it's going to do us any good. But in this particular thing, I will. I get called right wing all the time because I don't do the things that you're supposed to be doing supposedly as a liberal. But I'm going to tell you right now, whoever these people are who are running the Democratic Party, they're not running it right, and they're not liberal. That's not a liberal way of thinking. You don't shut down freedom of speech because someone's feelings got hurt. I'll tell you what else real quick here. The right, the conservatives, the Republicans are the ones who will have the conversation with me. Just so you know, I've been on Fox, I've been on TPUSA, I've been on the Daily Wire, I've been on every single conservative because they'll sit down and have a conversation with me. Not one single liberal media has had me on. So what do you think about that, Joey?
Yeah, and you know what? I've been on Fox twice, and I've been on Newsmax once.
There you go.
So you know, I don't. You might want to reevaluate your thoughts
That's
and
right.
opinions. I
It's
mean,
not black and white. It's
no, it's
not.
not.
And you think that her and I are just going to sit here and be okay with the way our own party or how the liberal
No.
space is? We're not, because it's not okay. What they're doing is not classic liberalism. It's something else.
Hey, Miles says, "Hey guys, how can Buck not only be a good-looking man, but as a but it was a beautiful woman that was a model? What the f? LOL. The universe is unfair."
Well, thank you.
Oh,
I hated being a lady. Oh God, I could modeling stories. Man, those men would like try to get me, and I'd just be like, just give me some more cocaine, and we're good.
you know what? You know what, Buck? Speaking of being men doing that and stuff like that. What
Yeah.
I want to know, since you've lived uh how can I put it, on the surface, half of your life people have believed you're a man.
Yeah,
Is that
that's
a
true.
good, is that
That's
a
right.
true statement?
Mhm.
And I want to know, what have you, okay, do you see any advantage to being a man over a woman, or vice versa?
Are you kidding? Of course. I mean,
Mhm.
that actually is a real, I hate using this word privilege,
Right.
but yeah, I'm going to for
Yeah.
the context of this specific thing. 100%. I have male privilege. There is no
Right.
doubt about it. I walk in rooms. It's a whole other, people treat me. Remember, 30 years I lived as a female and I was butch. Oh, that's
Right.
even a whole other level. And I had, I used to be into trucks and all. I rebuilt my own 55 Ford truck, and I would
Oh,
go to
wow.
the auto parts store. This was like, 30 years ago. Those dudes would like, I'd be standing in line to get parts for 2 hours, and I would just stand there shaking. If I walked into an auto parts store like this, they'd be like, "You're first, dude. Come here, dude."
and I could say, even just from always presenting a male in public, when the more mask, okay, I was very androgynous
Yeah.
up until my 20s, the new wave and all that. So
Totally.
it was acceptable. I wore makeup to school. I was almost in
Yeah.
drag every day at school.
Yeah.
And the thing is, as and that became a part of my fashion throughout the years. And then I slowly, the older I got, kind of got more masculine.
Sure.
And one thing I noticed when I lost my hair and I just shaved it off and I grew a beard or a goatee, men instantly treated me different. The more
Totally.
masculine I was, the more men treated, and I was called boss and chief and all that.
Me too. All the time.
Yeah.
I get called boss. Chief. I get called chief. I'm like, this is so funny. And like, of course, I get the check at the table. I'm just like, that's the man thing.
That's enough. Is there anything that you experienced as a woman that you miss?
Wow, that's a really beautiful, awesome question. And I do appreciate you asking that, because just, in the last 10 years or so, I really tried to work on connecting to Laura, because I just didn't. And I kind of feel sad that I just sort of dumped on her and I blamed her for everything.
Well,
And
you just
I
wanted
did.
to get away from her. You wanted to get away from her.
I did.
Yeah.
And then when I got solid in my own space, I sort of started working on creating this sort of coexistence with my girl self and my my male self and my female self. And it's been so I think the only thing that I missed that I do have again now, because I reconnected, is my emotional state of being, which means that I used to be very hard on myself if I cried or if I was very emotional. Like I could actually cry right now talking about it. And that's a gift. I reestablished this gift of being vulnerable that I did not want to have because it wasn't masculine. And so I really realized that I missed that part of just being able to cry or just being able to say that I feel bad about something, because as men we're taught, you can't be that way. And come on, suck it up, dude. And I'm just like a big crybaby now. I'm just like, it feels so good.
And I'll tell you, I struggle with that. I do. And
see,
I could find myself tearing up at something. And then I stop myself. Like, I don't want to feel that.
That's right.
And I stop, and then I get logical about it. And
there you go.
And I'm like, but there are times that I do sit there and think it would be really beneficial if I just cried my eyes out. And it's hard to tap into that after so many years of
that's right.
being
of
the strong
pushing it.
one.
Well, and
Yeah.
also you are taught as a male to
Yep.
push that down. It is not masculine. And it's why when I became the man, every
Mhm.
trait of masculinity, hyper, as you see, I was obsessed with
Right.
being a hyper masculine. Tom of Finland is my like dream, like, you know, like
Oh,
as manly as I could actually
there are Tom of
get.
Finland portraits above my bed right now.
My favorite. So I knew we were connected. I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, that was always my when I thought of a male, I thought of somebody
Yeah.
like that. And that was always the picture of what I wanted to achieve and as my masculine sort of image of presenting to the world.
What would you, if you have any, what would you consider to be your most stereotypical feminine quality?
Mm. Wow. Let me see. So we just that's a really great question. I would say some of my mannerisms tend to
Okay.
not be so right. I do kind of some people would
You're
think I'm a gay
graceful?
man. Yeah, I
Oh,
guess.
oh,
Or I'm very fluid and I guess maybe my laugh and I think that I'm not I look masculine, but I think
oh,
sometimes
definitely.
my traits sort of
Okay.
would be considered a little feminine. And I've had people who are, well, I can tell you used to be a girl because of blah, 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 which I know is bullshit, but they're just saying that to sort of, but I do think that some of my mannerisms kind of came across that spectrum of
Okay.
going from female to male.
I when I worked at the club, there was a man there named Adam,
Hmm.
and I thought he was an attractive male.
Hmm.
He had stubble beard,
Hmm.
tattoos, worked out at the gym, and we worked at the door together checking IDs. And there's nobody there, so you kind of get close to the door,
Sure.
your worker. And so we were talking one time, and he had mentioned his wife, and
Uh,
I go, oh, and then I go, I always assumed you were gay. And he's like, "No, I'm not gay. I'm straight." I'm like, "Okay." So as time goes on, and I'm like, "He's gay." And so, but then I was the only one that he told. Eventually, no, I'm trans, and
yeah.
I go, "Wow." And so then I'm like, "So who your wife?" He goes, "Well, my wife was actually we were in high school together, and we were a lesbian
Yeah.
couple."
That's right.
And I would assume that's probably I mean, not common, of course, but I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure that stories happened before.
Yeah.
And, and then it all hit me, and then kinda to your point where well, then you start looking for stuff.
That's right.
You do,
That's
and
right.
I did, because I was so fascinated with how much he passed,
Yeah,
and
but you
I'm
weren't
like,
doing it you weren't doing it in a bad way. You were doing it in a
"No,
curious way. You
no."
were just like, "Wow," because actually it's a compliment. When people say to me, "Oh my God, I wouldn't," that's a compliment. That's what
Yeah.
I wanted
It's
to achieve.
successful.
Success. I wanted to
Yeah,
achieve. So I know when people are nitpicking me, like my hands, or I don't have an Adam's apple, or
right.
my voice sounds like
I don't
I
have
have
an
a
Adam's apple.
tranny. See, but I have a tranny voice, but I'm cool with it. I don't care.
It's funny, my voice was something I've always tried to deepen, or I mean, I'm 6'4", and it's and people I was misgendered all through my 20s at a
Oh my
drive-through,
God.
and on the phone people thought I was a woman. They would think
Yeah.
I'm my mother.
Yeah.
um
Hilarious.
Always. And it's like, I eventually didn't care. I guess maybe
Yeah, but to
when I
me, it
hit.
doesn't sound anything like a female. But I
Yeah.
understand that people are saying that, but it does not. You do not sound like a female to me
Well,
at all.
then they would tell me, you sound like Mike Tyson.
I love Mike Tyson. He's insane. I love him.
Um, okay, let me save it. Okay, can I ask you, okay, so your transformation physically,
Mhm,
was it all done through hormones? And I know you work out,
mhm.
but any cosmetic surgery to your
I had
face?
my chest removed.
Okay.
That was the first and only thing I did. Everything
No.
else you see here is just a shot of testosterone every
Wow.
week. That's it. That's all this is. 30 years of testosterone. My beard just kind of grew in the last 10 years. I had a hard
Oh,
time
really?
growing. Yeah, I lost my hair, so I'm totally bald. That happened in the first year. It took a while for the masculine things to start to happen, but it happened pretty quick. But I would say, I only had a top surgery. And, I did look at getting what we call bottom surgery, which is the penis surgery 30 years ago, but it just was not something that I felt was going to be what you have, like just a normal
Right.
working penis, and they still don't have them. So, on some level, I had to really work through that, and that was difficult. I think that was probably the most difficult part of my transition, was coming to terms with my genitals and
Like the
knowing
realization you couldn't change it.
that they're gonna be there forever. Am I gonna cry about it, or am I gonna use it? And I'm like,
Yeah.
nah, this stuff feels good. I'm totally gonna celebrate it to the world.
So do you?
You can ask it.
Okay, so do you still?
Yeah.
Well, you're with a woman.
Yeah, but
I guess you still
I'm
use it.
bisexual. I totally have
Okay.
sex with men and women, and so when I
Okay.
did transition, I had never had sex with a man, and so then I kind of got into the gay male scene, and that was very difficult because guys weren't into me at all. Because I always disclosed. I'm a big
Yeah.
person of disclosure,
Right.
whatever that means. So I would always say, "Well, hold on, dude. Before we go home, I need to let you know." And they're like, not into it. I'm like, cool. It's all good. We have become friends or whatever, but it took a long time for any guys to want to even try to have any sexual, space with me. And that was a little difficult too.
It's funny because as they keep changing what gay or trans means, I'm seeing an argument that people are using now that if you're a gay man, you should be up to dating or having sex with any man. And
Nope.
I'll tell you,
Nope.
I'll tell you, I came about sex through porn. Okay, I was 9
Okay.
years old, which
Yep.
I'm not saying that that's this is not the way you should
That's right.
do this, but a lot of kids do.
That's
And I
right.
especially would imagine a lot do now with such
Ugh,
access to the internet.
totally.
I had access to my dad's Playboy magazines.
But
And
that's not really porn. Playboy's different.
Yeah.
Playboy's more erotic.
That's
it's not
true.
like it's not hardcore pounding and like crazy stuff you see on the internet.
And then me and my brother eventually found my dad's projector and 8 millimeter film reels.
Oh my God. That's awesome.
So I knew back then when I'd see a man and a woman on camera,
Yeah.
and I would think the woman is beautiful,
Mhm.
but I really wanted I was more interested in the man,
Mhm. Of course.
like the woman I wanted to like love and date and
Right.
talk to.
Right.
The guy I wanted to do other things with.
Because you're gay.
Yeah, and I don't is it fair? It's like now are they calling this genital
Nope.
preference? I
Nope.
mean,
Nope.
it's
Nope. No, and people get mad at me because I did porn with men, right? But I
Yeah.
tell them that's fantasy. Okay. Number one. Number two, I never forced any man to have sex with me ever. I just
Yeah.
told you that. If they said to me, I'm not into it, cool, dude, let's shake hands and have a beer or smoke a cigar, dude. Let's like
Right.
butch out. But other than that, I hate what's happening today. And I hate that they're pushing on people to have sex with trans people or else you're transphobic. That's rapey and that's gross. And if everyone has a sexual preference, I have sexual preferences.
Yeah.
I have sexual preferences. I've dated a trans woman. I'm just not interested in them. That I
Yeah.
don't. It's just not my interest. Does that make me transphobic? No,
So if
not
you're
in
to
any
have
way.
if you are to have sex with let's say a penis, you would rather it be on a man than a woman.
100%. I'm attracted
Okay.
to masculinity. So and male masculinity, not female masculinity. So
Right.
I'm into Tom of Finland kind of dudes. Those
Yeah.
that gets me hot. I could not. I'm not into. And then I am into feminine women, very very, and women. I'm not into
Yeah.
trans women. I'm not into trans men. And
I'm like that too.
I don't care what anybody says. You can feel the difference. There is a difference. I've had sex with pretty much everyone and everything.
Right.
And my preferences are biological, male and female. And that's my preference.
Well, what I'd like to know is how they're going to navigate this in the drag world because drag queens notoriously are lonely and because they want to be with men, but the gay men don't want to be with them
No,
because
they don't.
they're so feminine.
That's right.
And
That's right.
and especially professional drag queens where the drag is a part of their life
That's right.
every day. It's
Mhm.
it's very. I've known very few drag queens that have lifelong partners.
Me
or
too. I
even
have almost all my
long-term.
friends. Yeah, all my friends are drag queens, and so I
Yeah,
completely agree with you that that is a thing, and they tend to be not have partners and be lonely. But I don't like what's happening now, and I don't like that we are now acting as if you have to date somebody outside. If you take biological sex off the table, that's homophobic.
right.
But homosexuality is same sex attracted. Period. There's no getting away around that, and it's rude and dishonest to act as if someone has to be into me because I'm a man. I would never be comfortable with somebody having sex with me because they didn't want to be transphobic.
Oh, that you know what? And the funny thing is, I mean, I've known people who have had prostitutes and stuff, and they'll ask me. I
Different.
know, and they'll say, "Well, would you?" And it's like at whatever when I was asked back then, is that something you would do? And I go, well, okay, I have a slightly different opinion about it now, but I was like, well, I would rather someone who's having sex with me want to have sex with me
That's
rather than it
right.
being transactional. Now that I'm older,
Sometimes it's
maybe,
easier just to
when
pay
you're,
for it.
sometimes if you're like a 60-year-old man, the 25-year-olds aren't going to find you attractive. They'll find the
Well,
money attractive.
No,
So
I think a lot of 25-year-olds like older
they
people.
do.
I
I know.
do. I actually do. I think that's a fetish on
It
some
is.
level. And
It
and
is.
also you remember I worked in the adult entertainment. Trans women porn was the second largest selling porn below gay porn. So let's not forget that. There are, and their customer or client base is straight men.
And you
Straight
remember,
men are attracted to trans women.
didn't they
So
back then? They called them she-male.
that's right. She-male, ladyboy,
And
chicks with
RuPaul had to
dicks.
change his show because of that word. And that's where it started.
Disgusting.
It
That's where it
started
started.
that
I
way.
remember She-Male. That's right. I
Yeah.
remember. And he fought against it, but I guess the business people were like, no. The other thing I have, I don't know how you feel about this, but
Yeah.
where I come from in the drag world, drag was gay men like yourself who dressed up like women, and it was
Yeah.
all fantasy. Now all of a sudden, half these women on RuPaul's Drag Race are trans
Mhm.
women. So
Yeah.
how are you
That
doing drag?
it turned me off. That I'll say that is
It
the
doesn't
first
make
thing.
sense.
And then they went a step further, and now they're saying there are bio queens, which are biological women who live as women, who are feminine women who just put on bigger hair, more makeup,
Okay, I'm done.
and
I'm
it's
done.
like, well, that's burlesque. I mean, I don't. I mean, isn't it? I mean,
It is.
I mean, I don't get it. What are you doing?
What
Mixing
are
all this
they
stuff.
doing?
But you know what?
They're literally driving off the cliff. They're driving the whole thing off the cliff. It's
Well, it's
ridiculous.
almost, and I've said you're taking a boutique item and you're now selling it at Walmart.
That's right.
And
Good.
it's like, and I get it, it's big money, and
Yeah, I get
for the
that
people
as
at
well.
top. Yeah, for the
That's
people
right.
at top.
It's all about money for them. It has nothing to do with integrity or
No,
keeping
it's
drag. If the definition of drag, just go look it up. It's literally cross-dressing. That's what it is. That's why there's a trans guy. His name is Got Milk, right? He's
I
on.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome, and he dresses like a woman. That's
Yeah.
drag.
Yeah.
I would have to do drag. I couldn't do this. I would win.
I know. You know what? I thought about that. I was talking to my partner, and I'm like, you know what? It'd be funny is if Buck Angel got into drag.
I'm going to for Halloween. I'm totally doing it for
That would be
Halloween.
awesome. That would be awesome.
I'm going to be a non-binary trans woman. What else? Something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something.
Yeah, do all that. Do it all.
Blue hair. I'm going to dye
All
my
in one
beard blue.
package. Oh, don't put glitter all over it.
Glitter. Totally.
Buck in a movie. Now I have seen your pictures of your body and stuff, but I never watched a scene or a film of you.
Yeah.
And what I want to know is, have you ever topped a man in a movie? And was it different than topping a woman?
Oh, 100. Totally different. I've topped a lot of men in movies. That was sort of my space because even though I do get penetrated, it still was considered a top space. So that being said, yeah. Oh yeah, dudes are pigs. It's I mean, there are women who are pigs, but nowhere near. No, I'm like, give it back, dude. Are you kidding me? I'm doing this stuff.
So they are more the men you'd say are rougher and more
rougher, more willing to do anything you want. Like, I mean, anything. Like, I mean, and it's not hard to talk them into stuff. And like women are just have a different way of being that you have to sort of, I don't know if the word coddle is right. And I don't mean it in any disrespect.
Right,
It's
of
just
course.
that women are coming to it from here. Men are coming to it from here, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. It's a more physical thing for men, and it's a more emotional thing for women, for sure. Definitely.
Can I ask you, as living as a man for more than half your life and being in the entertainment adult world, have you discovered why men are obsessed with size?
Wow, that's a great question. Yeah, because it feels better.
Yeah.
To fill it up feels amazing. So, you know, you got to be a good top, you have to be a good bottom, just so you
Yeah.
know. That's an actual
Yeah.
real thing. So, you know, you have to sort of try it out. It's like if you're going to buy a TV set, you better try it out and check it out and make sure that that's what you want. So that being said, that's how you know how to top right, by knowing size matters. It does.
Gagging for lit says many men are absolutely disgusting pigs. They're disgusting. I added pigs.
Well, yeah, but you know, that's the fun part.
Yeah, I mean, that's
disgusting.
Can I ask you this? And I've heard this from amputees.
Yeah.
Do you ever have phantom breast sensation?
After my surgery, it was real. It was about a year, and I kept feeling my breasts, and I kept wanting to do. You know, back in the day, we didn't have binders. We had to use whatever we could find, and one of the things was ace bandages. So I used the ace bandage and duct tape and everything else. But I remember not having to use it anymore, and I felt like something was not right, and I could feel my breasts for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, it was weird.
Chaz says, I miss the days when sex was private interaction between two adults in a dark alley. Well, you know what, Chaz? I don't know if you've seen the recent footage from Folsom this year, but they're having sex right in the broad daylight in the middle of the street.
With what's his name? What's that guy's name? Wiener?
Oh,
Scott?
Wiener. You saw it. I'm like, what?
Look, I'm okay. I'm cool with Folsom. I'm cool with adult events. Folsom has always been for adults. It's cornered off. But now young people are there, and I'm not cool with that at all. And also, why is Scott Wiener there? That dude, go away. I can't stand that guy. Go away. You're a freak.
It's like, what's with all, like, is it just photo op stuff? Like, I want as much of this community to see me so I can get their vote. I mean,
no, it's totally that. But he's going to lose because he's a stupid. That's not good business. That is actually the stupidest thing you could ever do. That's not the heavy vote. LGBT is not the big vote at all. It's like, you're so dumb.
I know
that's this small.
Yeah. And I think if anything, they're going for the virtue signalers.
That's right.
To protect the,
that's
they're going for the heterosexuals that feel sorry for you.
That's right. The dumb ladies who are all just like saviors and like, we're going to get trans kids or kids. I'm like, get out of my face. You don't even have a kid and you're not trans. So shut up.
You know what it is? It's like, it's people, I think, just looking, they're looking for friends. They're just, let's just go out. Maybe I'll meet somebody. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a social event, but I'll tell you this. When me and my partner, we went out to try to, I guess, disprove the whole, someone made a comment on here that, being unsafe in right spaces, or they don't like us. Oh my God, I'm getting old. My train of thought.
About being in safe spaces.
About being safe space. Damn it, it'll come back.
It'll come back. Yeah.
But can I ask you, as Tranpaw, what would you tell a young Laura about the journey that's about to be taken, what would you warn her about?
Well, first off, I would say to make sure that this is about you. Okay.
Yeah.
And number one, it's all about you. It's not about anybody else. Number two, I hope you have a good therapist. And I hope that therapist is not an LGBTQIA affirmative therapist.
Right.
So those are the two most important things I would tell Laura right now. Number three, be you, my friend, and slow down. That the thing that really upsets me is this fast-paced desire to transition is so scary to me. It took me years to find out whether or not this was the path for me. And thank the goddess that happened, because I never looked back. So I would say calm, live in some uncomfortability. Living in an uncomfortable space is important for everyone because it really does make you go, okay, you're right. I don't like pizza. I like hamburgers. Even though I was eating pizza and trying it, I hate it, but I tried it as much as I could. You know, this desire to move so fast has me concerned with why. Why are we moving people so fast to transition? That means surgery. There are 16-year-old young girls cutting off their breasts. I would have told Laura to chill out and find the space later on and explore your body and explore different spaces and things to make sure that you're making the right choice.
And you know, it's funny because I'm old enough to remember when there was a movement to stop circumcision.
That's right.
And you know, and I don't get it. It's like, so we go from circumcision to now removing breasts now, and I don't want to say that they all happen to underage.
They don't.
I like to tell the truth, and I don't want to lead anybody in a wrong direction, but it is happening, and it is happening, and there are regrets, and
lots.
The younger they are, maybe this next question, this is a great one. In your ideal world, what age do you think a human should have complete control over their body and the power to permanently modify their body?
21 to 23, because here's why I say that. I used to say it was 18, but now that I have a kid,
they're getting younger all the time.
That's right. So I'm going to tell you, and also from my studies, because I'm not the kind of guy that would sit here without knowing facts. That's not my style. I will definitely look. And so I've been really studying what all of this means. And what I know is that's why puberty is important. Okay. Because puberty is the growth from a boy to a man, from a girl to a woman. That's what puberty is. So if you take that away, you've now taken out this whole space that it can never be put back. And the third thing I want to say is that I've read and I know from the studies that have been given to me that the brain does not finish growing until the age of 23. So that's a factual statement. So now I'm wondering, can a child at 20, because that to me, a child is 20, can they make a life? Let's not play games here. A life-altering choice. We're not talking about changing your hat. We're not even talking about being gay, because being gay, you can try. You can dip your toe in it. And if it's not for you, you can back out of it and go with no harm. Done. Nothing.
Yeah, but many people, in fact, I'm assuming more gay people live in the closet than out of the closet.
That's right. I agree with you 100%. 100%. But now we're pushing a lot of people to get these I don't know why people keep saying it's reversible. It is irreversible to take your breasts off. It is irreversible to have a hysterectomy at 16. There are 16-year-old girls having hysterectomies. What?
Yeah, I don't understand that. I don't.
Money.
Like, what's the
Money.
and what's the urgency? Well, you also have the medical establishment telling the parents they're going to kill themselves.
And that's a lie, because where are the dead kids? Where are they? I hate to say it. I'm actually saying it. Where are the dead kids? That is not true.
Show me the dead bodies.
That's right. They're not there. That's not true. And the fact that you would even say that to a parent is sick and twisted, because any parent, including me, would transition my child in 2 seconds if they said, oh, you got to give them hormones or they're literally going to kill themselves. I mean, you cannot put a parent in such a state of fear. They will do anything, and mama bear will do anything for her cub, anything. And that includes transitioning their child.
Now, Blaze, I'm not Blaze. Buck, if like, let's put on what some might call the tinfoil hat.
Okay.
Now, do you think this has anything to do with population control? I think that may, but I think it has mostly to do with just money and the pharmaceutical companies.
I go that deep. I go to I go to that because a lot of these kids are autistic. We know that a lot of these kids are autistic. And if you know the history of Planned Parenthood, where a lot of these kids are now getting their hormones from in a 20-minute intake by a nurse practitioner, not even an actual doctor or an endocrinologist, then you start to say, oh, something, and you can literally get your testosterone like that. I'm not kidding. I can walk in it took me years to get testosterone. That is a controlled substance. You can go on the internet there's actual sites, have a Zoom meeting with a doctor who's actually a clinician and get a script for prep. And then they send you a box of testosterone. It's shocking.
I honestly have more trouble getting a pill for my dog.
I know.
I really do.
I know.
I have to submit tests. I have to go in every 3 months and show he has to get a heartworm test to make sure that he doesn't have a heartworm. I mean,
Unbelievable.
I mean, really, and you know what? I think it's sick, and it's so sick and sad for me to think about it. But there are parents that I think want designer children.
Yeah, I mean, I've said that. I've done a
Oh.
lot of interviews on my channel,
Okay.
and I've actually interviewed lots of parents, and one parent whose child was taken away because they would not affirm her as trans, and then the father got the child taken away from the mother. She hasn't seen the kid in a year and a half. That's sick. That is not right, and that is abnormal, and you're messing with the kid's head. So first off, how do we know this kid is trans without any kind of extensive mental health care? You
Right.
cannot diagnose any other. Think about anything, whether it's diabetes, cancer. It takes more than 20 minutes to diagnose somebody. Why are we
Yeah.
diagnosing kids in 20 minutes and acting like it's completely normal and acting like a kid knows who they are?
Especially a child, when children are so wishy-washy and
That's
flighty
right.
and
That's
fantastical,
right.
and especially in this day and age of, the mass media, social media, and everything that we see, and so
It's
many,
gross.
peer pressure and everything, it's,
It's gross.
yeah, it's absolutely right. You don't know who you are
No.
until you're in your 20s and some even 30s. Like, I
Some
honestly was not happy and a proud man, honestly, till my late 20s.
That's
I
why
owned it, and it's like,
That's why your voice is important, my friend, because kids need to hear us, even though they get mad. They get so mad at me, the young people. They're like, you're trying to stop everybody. You transition and now you're pulling the ladder up. I said, I'm not pulling any ladder up. I'm securing that ladder. Big difference, my friend. And if you need a transition, you will. You will. But what I'm
Right.
telling you right now is, don't you care about the kids who are being caught up in this and who are detransitioning, who have no sexual life? They're totally sterile. They have no boobs. They have nothing. They're completely destroyed because you think every child knows who they are. That's why I get so mad at this fake community, because they
Ugh.
just think anyone knows they're trans. And that's just, I want anyone to have what I have, my friend.
Right.
That's the whole reason I sit here today talking to you. I can literally remove myself from this whole fight. I have a beautiful life. I never have to talk about trans again, but I feel obligated as an elder in this community who's done a lot of work to change laws across the world, who has done something so amazing for myself that I want the world to see. I have to step in this space, because if not, who's representing me? Those crazy
Right.
people. And that I can't have them representing me and saying that kids should transition when I just disagree with that.
And Buck, that's why I, as my other character, Kitty Demure, I came out, and this was pre-gay, before Gays Against Groomers.
Yeah.
I made a video in 2019 stating the dangers of, I love drag. I do. I love adult entertainment. I love drag,
Yep.
and that's for us. That's for
right.
us.
That's right.
And it's like, and we provide it for other adults, with like-minded adults.
That's right.
And then you have these drag queens, like, going in public spaces and sharing this adult art with children who don't understand it.
No.
All they see is, just it's a costume, it's makeup, but it's
That's right.
also the indoctrination of the stories they're hearing. They're not hearing Alice in Wonderland. They're not
Nope.
hearing that.
Nope.
I know the pointed and targeted literature that which it also started. Drag Queen Story Hour was started by the author of these books, and she just wanted her books read. And
Wow.
it's all a
Wow.
capitalistic venture.
Oh,
It's
it
all
totally is.
But yet they're the first people to preach against capitalism.
I know.
And
They're all hypocrites. They're little hypocrites. Loving
Shut-
and diverse community. That's what they always say. Love, don't hate. And then they are at those rallies punching women in the face, calling them TERFs. I'm like, wait, what? I thought we were a loving, diverse community. You're like punching women.
I have seen people smaller and weaker than me at protests get beat up, minorities get beat up by white saviors on the other
That's right.
side
That's right.
that are trying to save them. And we came up to one of my friends, she was getting beaten. She's a black girl getting beaten up by a white girl, and she's calling her a whore and stuff. And it's like, wait, you're supposed to be here protecting her from us, right?
It's so
You're
sick.
protecting her from us.
Sick.
They're
sick.
Shabby Jesse says, I'm 44, straight woman, and I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. You know what? Neither
See?
do I.
Right
Neither do
there.
I.
It's
I'm
right
still
there.
trying to figure it out.
Me too. I'm 61. I don't know who I am. I'm 10.
Chaz says progressives have demonized rightful shame
Mhm.
and celebrated not earned pride and
That's
feel
right.
better than everyone else because they are so enlightened, not realizing how destructive they are to individuals.
Great comment. Great.
Yeah.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
right. I think, the other thing I want to say is I think a lot of us are catching on. People are pretty fed up with it. It's gone so overboard. It's insane. When you have a trans woman sitting in front of Trevor Noah saying, "I'm a biological female," I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
How dare you even say something so absurd as that? And then she just was going on and on and on and like gaslighting the heck out of the thing. And I'm like, why am I not sitting next to this trans woman so that I can tell her you're wrong? But no one's giving any pushback to these wingnuts.
No, because it doesn't. Yeah, it's funny. It's like they don't care about the actual people going through it. They just want to
That's right.
appear to be enlightened and know more and more compassionate. And
That's
and
right.
like somebody said here, gagging for it says social justice is the new religion.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
It's a
it is.
religion. And
they're
trans.
and they're
Yeah.
very fundamentalist too.
Oh my
I
God,
mean,
they are
they're
crazy.
crazy. They're crazy
They
people.
might as well be Scientology as far as I'm concerned, because when you leave, so I look at detransitioners as people who have left the cult, because the way that they act to detransitioners says everything to me. They're like,
Right.
get them, like detransitioners are the devil, and that I'm like, what? These people were put in this space because of you people. They should have
Right.
never transitioned, and they transitioned because you said every person is trans if they say they are.
Oh, you know what? I never thought about that. I mean, yeah, the
That's right.
transitioners prove the point.
They prove the point. That's why they keep hiding them.
Oh my, you know what, a simple logical thought that I never thought of.
Because they remove them. But I am totally attached to detransitioners. my heart goes crazy for them because it's sad and it's wrong, and they should have never. These are 16-year-old young girls who should have never been put in that position. Yet here's this loving community telling them to cut their breasts off, take testosterone. Oh, don't worry, if you change your mind, they say this, if you change your mind, you can just get fake boobs. I'm like, okay, you people are sick.
But don't you have the scars forever to remind you.
That's right. Also, come on, friend. I don't need to remind myself that I'm a biological female.
Right.
Every time I go to the toilet, I know what's going on there. And I like, you must be out of your mind if you think that you're never going to remember that you're a biological female or male. It's insanity.
She said they hide the detransitioners away like an ugly, illegitimate children.
It's actually true. They're like literally, and then they're blaming them. They're like, it's your fault. You should have never transitioned. I'm like, wow. Just wow. You people are so insane.
Let's see. Blaze says, what's wild is that they are never as vile as someone who is gay for years then switch. But when a detransitioner breaks ranks, it's the end of the world and they're horrible.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they're blamed for everything. That's why they don't want to talk. And that's why they are scared to even be put, out there. But I encourage them, because without them, we're not going to get back on track.
And you know what? And not only that, I just thought of something else. How many detransitioners are in the closet? Like, they don't want to lose their community.
That's
they don't
right.
want to lose their friends and newfound
That's
family
right.
and support.
That's right.
So how many are in the closet? I mean,
Thousands. I'm telling you,
yeah.
There's a group on Reddit. It's a detransitioner group with over 40,000 members in that group.
That's
40,000. That's crazy.
Well, Buck, where can people find you, get more information? We've gone an hour and a half, and it flew by.
I know. I love you. You're awesome.
Yeah,
so everyone can find me on Instagram, Buck Angel, Twitter, Buck Angel. I don't do TikTok, but I have one. I have a guy who takes care of it. My YouTube channel is Buck Angel Official. You can reach out to me. Anyone who has any questions about anything, please. I'm very accessible because I care. I really do care. I care about the future of the community. I care about kids. And that's the only reason I'm here. Adults can do whatever they need to do, but I will not sit around watching kids being dragged through the mud because some crazy adult thinks that they know what's better.
And Buck, I just say I want to appreciate. I really didn't know everything that you did, and I just kind of knew you as a figure when I was younger. But getting to know more about you as an adult has been awesome. And we definitely need more voices like ours, definitely. And
oh, we
you
are.
know what?
We are.
And it's growing. It is growing.
It is.
And and I just, like I said, I'm glad you're speaking up. And one day I would love for us to meet outside of this.
We are.
Something like that.
We live in the same city, basically. And I go to Palm.
Yeah.
We're going to. Me and you are going to hang out.
Me,
and then that's trouble.
me and I don't know. Have you ever been to Tequila on North Palm Canyon? It's like
taco
tequila. But I love that place.
Let's go.
Okay.
We're going.
About it. Yes, sir. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed this. Buck, thank you so much. And, you have so many people in here who love you, some people who are confused. And I'm glad that we were able to at least offer them the education, whether or not they will absorb it or not.
They will. I can tell they all love you. I can just see the energy and the fact that everyone was willing to listen and even push back on me. I don't have issues with that in any way, shape, or form. Nope, not at all. This is what we're supposed to be doing, my friend. So you're doing great work, and I want to say the same to you. You're doing great work. You're going to help some kid realize he's just a gay kid and he's not trans. And no, I'm not kidding. And that's why it's important that you talk about your past as, being feminine and being attractive. But you look at, you grew up and you're just a dude, and it had nothing to do with that. That's why your message is so important for a young gay person who needs to see that. They need to see all angles of it.
They do.
So thank you, friend.
Okay, well, thank you, and thank everybody for watching. And Buck, we'll catch up later.
Okay, friend.
Whatever. Thanks. You have a
great
evening.
Night. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.